Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel where I want to make a video that kind of gives you an introduction into kind of who I am, so that you have a little bit better picture of who you're dealing with here. Now, I know this may be a little bit longer of a video, but I encourage you to watch the whole thing. It's going to be all over the place on this channel, and I want you guys to understand what you're getting into. And the reason I say that is because a lot of the things that I'm going to talk about on this channel are going to vary wildly, okay? It's going to be like a box of chocolates. You're never going to know what I'm going to talk about. So I could talk about just random projects that I'm working on, all the way to, really abstract ideas from the hobbies of mine to political things. So what I'm going to do here today is I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about myself, maybe some places that I've been and things that I value. I'm short, I'm strong, I'm a little sarcastic sometimes, but I like to think that I have a good heart. Now, when it comes to hobbies, you can probably tell by all of the things around me here that I'm a big nerd. And you can probably tell from my other videos that I've made that I'm a big nerd. One of my number one hobbies is Magic the Gathering. I made this thing. That's completely mine. $500 if you want to buy it. No, I'm kidding. So at summer camp, started playing Magic way back in the day. That eventually evolved to me playing Magic at school during lunch. And something that you're going to find out pretty quickly about me, especially if you continue watching this video, is that I don't fucking care. I do some wild shit sometimes, and I've got some stories to tell. My number one hobby is Warhammer. That I've also been playing for a really long time. I actually have a second YouTube channel for that. It's actually how I started out on YouTube. Yeah, Warhammer's my thing, dude. I've been playing Warhammer for such a long time. I've had just about every army at some point. Warhammer is a game that I will always love. I will always love the game itself. I'll always like the models and how they look and just the lore. The lore is really, really cool, and they need to start making some series on the lore. Get on that shit. And when I was a lot younger, when I used to play Warhammer, I used to get really, really angry. To the point where I would throw models across the game store, dude. I'm talking like I was young, maybe just becoming a teenager. Dude, I had a nickname. My nickname back then was Angry Kevin. I definitely have had a reputation in the past for getting really angry when I would play Warhammer. I don't behave that way anymore, so I've actually made a lot of friends at random events and stuff where people are like, dude, that was one of the best games I ever played. That was super fun. I'm like, hearing that sort of thing now, it's like, I would much rather hear that than win a game. As people do when they grow up, that's no longer, like, I don't have a temper like that anymore. The only time I really get angry is when I'm playing video games. If something's way too challenging and I can't beat it, that just tends to get me really upset after a while because of the same thing. It's like I'm too competitive, Anyway, so Warhammer, Magic, that sort of thing. And then, of course, to complete the nerd trifecta, I've been doing martial arts for a very long time. Combat martial arts specifically. Martial arts kind of changed my life in a way where you become a lot more like respectful of the power that you have, number one, and also a lot more disciplined. So that is a huge part of my life. Even to this day, I still practice. I'm basically just a kid, guys. What do you want me to tell you? I'm a kid. So I'm one of those adults that plays with Legos. And I actually created, I'll make a video on this at some point, but down over here, I have an RC Humvee that I've created out of Legos, out of the Technic parts. I have no engineering experience. I have none of that shit. I was just like, you know what? I want a Humvee. I want it to be remote controlled, and I want it to be built out of Legos because I've seen other people do it. I'll make a video about that at some point, but I just like building stuff. It's just fun for me. And so to that point, I also really, really like building RC cars and messing around with RC cars. I have a bunch of RC crawlers, so I've learned electronics through that. I got into that pretty hardcore during COVID when I was like, you know what? I have nothing to spend my money on. Nobody's playing Warhammer at the moment. So I bought this RC Humvee, and it's fucking awesome. It's killer. So not only did I learn a little bit of electronics with that, I learned how to upgrade some of those guys, and I actually built one of my own that's massively upgraded that I need some parts designed for because the thing just tears apart internal gears like they don't exist. Dude, it's like a 5 horsepower electric motor. Like, I don't even know what I was thinking. And kind of in the same vein of things when it comes to these off-road RC trucks that I mess around with, I also really like doing off-road things. I haven't had a chance to do that very much in my life, but I'm like super into the idea of it. Doing off-road things with like four-wheelers and stuff. I've gotten a chance to do that a little bit in my life. And I really like motorcycles. My entire family is a family of bikers. So yeah, whole family of bikers. I used to ride my motorcycle to school all the time in high school. I actually didn't drive a car. I drove a motorcycle. And I'm the only person in my family who has not been in a major accident. So I just don't ride motorcycles anymore. I'm just kind of like, yeah, let me just quit while I'm ahead there. Fuck all that. I'm also really into guns. Always have been ever since I was really young. That's probably part of the reason why I like Warhammer so much is because the guns in that game and in the lore there, dude, some of them are crazy. Some of them are absolutely nuts. So guns are awesome. Big fan of guns. Big fan of the Second Amendment. I don't have any guns anymore, but I used to have a bunch, and they were a lot of fun. Now, we can have a whole other discussion about guns at some point, which I probably will, but just know I like guns. And then I guess beyond all that sort of stuff, I'm just a huge physics nerd. I'm a huge science nerd. I really value education. I'll talk about some of the things I value in a minute here, but I really value science. I really value education and just knowledge. So that's a little bit about myself. Now, in terms of talking about like places that I've been to, I've only been out of the country once, and it was to the Dominican Republic. I don't remember how old I was. I was a teenager of some age. So I remember that. That was pretty awesome, except for the fact that we all ended up getting some sort of like bacterial infection or something, dude, because we were shitting our brains out for 3 months after coming home. So that part of it, don't recommend that. But the rest of it, the entire like resort and everything and all the stuff that you got to do, it was awesome. It was really, really cool. We did also take a cruise to St. Thomas. That was awesome, dude. The cruise as a kid, there's so much to do on that boat, man. Highly recommend that one as well. Been to Hawaii a bunch. My family has a couple of condos there. Always a good time. And once I got older, I was like, yo, let me get some weed while I'm here. And some stories for a different day, I guess. But that was a ton of fun. I've been to a lot of other states in the country, a lot of which I can't actually name because I was very young when I went there. Like I went to that one place where you can like stand on 4 states at once. I've been there. I've been to like New Jersey, Delaware, New York, those kind of things. I've been to New York before the towers came down, before the Twin Towers came down. I know I don't look that old, but I'm a dinosaur, bro. So I've been to most places in the country and to the Dominican Republic, and that's about it. Now, next, I want to tell you guys about some of the things that I value, because that's going to be the basis for a lot of the things that I talk about on this channel. Something that I value a lot is self-sufficiency. I like having extra batteries. I like having solar panels. I like understanding how to fix machines that may break. I like the thought of being able to do that. And as I get older and as I have more buying power, I'm going to start doing more things like that so that I can increase my knowledge. I just don't like being reliant on other people if I can help it. And so to that end, I like being as independent as possible. I try to buy things in bulk because the commodities that you buy, they generally don't ever go down in price. So, and your company's not going to keep up with the pace of inflation or the cost of living. You basically have less buying power as time goes on. So I buy as much stuff as I possibly can at once. And I just really like understanding how the world around us works, even with like a surface level understanding of things. If you don't understand how something works, you can't navigate it, you can't fix it, you can't do anything. You're just kind of blind. It gives you a level of autonomy when you have more information, because then you can make smarter decisions. And I just think that it's important to be prepared for things, not necessarily emergencies, but emergencies. Because if shit hits the fan and you have, the internet goes down and then you have no network of communicating with anybody, well, how are you going to like do anything? You don't know how anything works. Like you don't know how to like make anything or how to do anything. Like what are you going to do? So having a little bit of independence like this will make it so that you're not as reliant on other things, other systems, institutions, infrastructures, and that sort of thing. And I like the idea of that. It's something that I value, not having to be reliant on other people, being able to make things myself, being able to make it on my own if I need to. And something that I touched on a little earlier was that I really value education. I used to absolutely fucking hate learning stuff. I hated it, dude. And then I found out, no, I don't. I actually love learning things. I just fucking hate school. And I really, really value how we've been able to extract truth from nature. And I really want to make a video about how we just made all this stuff around us. Like, how do we get all this stuff? How did we get to the point where we were like the Egyptians and then now we can make computer chips? Like, how did we get there? If we had to start from literally nothing, how would we rebuild everything? And so kind of by extension, I value logic and I value reasoning, even though my brain is not necessarily like a logic engine up in here. That's my brother, bro. But I value it. I understand the importance of it, and I understand the importance of rationality and being measured and being logical. And so I value the process of elimination that we use to extract truth from nature. And so yeah, I really value things like the scientific method because it is how we actually learn what is true. That information is extracted through nature from our experimentations. Through experimentation that continues to disprove things over and over and over until you shrink down what is left. And then once you get to what is left, you find truth there. You take that and you make sure it's repetitive. You make sure that you can replicate the results of this experiment over and over and over. That is how you extract truth from nature. So that is something that I value greatly. We've always stood on the shoulders of people before us when it comes to information. Like, we can't rediscover the theory of relativity every generation because people don't trust experts. That's not how this works. Society would never move forward. I'll probably mention that again in a different video, but there you go. Some other things that I want you guys to know that I value because it's going to be the center of some of my videos here is, I don't know what I'd call it, humanism, human connection, call it whatever you want, but like being a human. I value being a human a lot. Guys, I don't want you to think that I'm some like tech boomer over here. Like, I work in IT, okay? I know how this shit works. I absolutely love technology, but I also like to sit down and think about the human condition, wonder what the nature of consciousness really is. I don't just sit down in front of my TV every night or in front of my phone and like turn my fucking brain off, dude. Like, I cannot do that. But I think it's important for people to, I don't even know, get the human connection back that we've lost. For the first time in human history, our technology has made us less human. Technology has always brought people closer and closer together, but it doesn't do that anymore. And I really think we need some sort of balance here because our biologies just do not change at the rate that technology does. It evolves slowly and we can't change it easily. I've said this once, I'm going to say it again. Social media takes away your humanity. Very, very few people hang out in person anymore. And when they do, they all got their heads down looking at their fucking phone. Our bodies and our minds change physically from the stimuli of other people. This is not something that you can avoid. And so I think that this extends to really having like human hobbies, human passions, human things that you like to do. I'm sorry guys, but watching Netflix, it's not a hobby. Scrolling through Instagram or through Twitter or some other social media, it's not a hobby. When all you ever want to do is get on your phone and scroll through things, we have a word for that: addiction. And like all addictions, it strains your social life. It tears apart the social fabric. But just the thought of it, because you go out and you see it, you see people walking down the street like this. You go to a restaurant, you see people down on their phones like this. Everywhere you go, all you see is people doing this. And in these settings where you even have people together, it's just so fucking sad, dude. It's so sad to see a group of people together, but like so apart. So yeah, I think having hobbies is a good thing. Something that can get you out of the house. Like, I have my own. You know, I have RC cars, I have Warhammer Magic, that kind of stuff. Maybe it's, exercising. Maybe it's a sport. Maybe it's martial arts. Maybe it is TCGs or tabletop games. Just something, People have to start doing things. And I love gaming, like computer gaming and console gaming. I love gaming. But there was a point in my life when people gamed a lot, but also still like had a social life where like they would still go hiking with you and enjoy it and not be on their phones because we didn't have them at the time. But like, things were just simpler, I don't even know if simpler is the right word. They were easier because you didn't have this fucking addiction. And for someone like me, if I go out to a park with my RC cars or something and somebody else is there with their RC car, it's like, boom, we're friends now. If I go to a Warhammer tournament, have a really fun game with someone and they're like, dude, that was one of the best games I ever played. I'm like, bro, let me get your number. You're the man. Like, I just made a new friend right there. It's almost like the prerequisite has to be that whatever your hobby isn't digitized. Like, if you want to actually play Warhammer with someone, you have to get out of your house and go to the store. Or they have to, like, come over to your house. You have to be in person. You have to interact and do stuff. Magic's the same way. Playing with RC cars, it just gets you out of the house. You will meet people at parks. You don't have to talk to them, but, like, maybe they'll talk to you and be like, that's a really cool RC car. Where'd you get it from? Sometimes it's hard for me to articulate what I really mean when I'm talking about these kind of things, where I'm like, guys, we're just not human anymore. It's hard for me to articulate exactly what I mean, but I know you fucking understand what I'm saying. Now, I want to round things out here and tell you another thing that I believe in a lot, and that's American values. And something that I've probably said before is that it's becoming apparent to me that at some point I'm going to have to talk about politics on this channel. I didn't start this channel to do that, but the more that I start sitting down in front of this camera and talking and just thinking about everything that's going on around us, it becomes obvious to me that I will not be able to avoid that. And so let me tell you guys what I believe. Basically, everything in the Constitution represents American values. I think people should have the right to tell their government to go fuck itself, to protest. I think the press should be able to scrutinize every single fucking thing that they do. You have the right to say what you want. As I said before, guns are pretty awesome. I like those. We should be allowed to have those. But apparently bringing those to a protest is grounds to get you murdered now, even if you have a legal right to carry it and are not brandishing it or using it at all. Weird, that one. But yeah, I love guns. Always have, always will. It is literally part of the reason that I got into Warhammer. I was like, look at these crazy awesome guns. Those are cool. I think people should have a right to privacy. Stop selling my fucking information to everybody. Stop with this Palantir fucking nonsense. Stop with this flock camera bullshit. Stop with this fucking like signal tapping and wiretapping that ICE is doing when you're at protests. Like, stop with all of it. I don't personally subscribe to any religion. However, I think you should be allowed to. I think you should be able to practice whatever religion you want. But our laws should be secular. I don't want someone's extreme beliefs making its way into their policy. And this isn't exclusive. Muslim extremism? Nope. Christian extremism? Nope. Buddhist extremism? No thank you. Is there even Buddhist extremism? Is that even a thing? Or how about the Church of Scientology? Better yet, how about the Church of Satanism? Just fucking nope. We don't want any of it. And that is why it is secular. It doesn't endorse you. It doesn't endorse me. I want you to practice your beliefs. I want this person over here to practice their beliefs. Fucking, you could do it in public, man. I don't give a fuck. But get that shit the fuck out of policy. And overall, I think people should have the right to make their own fucking choices. Some don't tread on me type bullshit. Except I'm a progressive. People should have healthcare and stuff, but also like the government should fuck off about just about everything. So I think everybody has the right to make their own choices. I think that people should be secured in their person and not get seized by the government without probable cause or without a warrant. I believe everyone should have due process because if only certain people have it, then nobody does. No, like, that's how that works. Not a controversial thing. If you're within a country's borders and that country has a constitution that says you have due process, then you have due process. Otherwise, somebody could just, I don't know, snatch you up off the street and do whatever they wanted to you and be like, oh, well, you know, you can't prove that you're not this, that, or the other thing because, well, you don't get due process. So, like, you start thinking about this for 2 fucking seconds and you're like, oh yeah, that seems like a really bad fucking idea. Yeah, no shit, dude. So imagine you live in a country, and that country says, you know what, we have due process for all of our citizens, but only for our citizens. Well, just so happens that I don't like you, so I don't think you're a citizen. And man, isn't that too bad? Because only citizens get trials. Only citizens have due process. Only a citizen could get to prove their case or to prove that they're a citizen. So, nope, no due process for you. Firing squad, actually, for you instead. So, yeah, we're just going to put that argument to bed right now. And if anybody wants to comment on it, please shut the fuck up. By default, it is no one if it is not everyone. Man, what else? I like being able to remain silent. I like that the government can't force me to incriminate myself. That's pretty cool. I like that I get speedy trials. I like that I don't have to sit in jail for like 20 fucking years before they give me a trial. That's cool. I like that I get to have a trial of my peers instead of a bunch of government officials that are like, oh yeah, guilty, man, totally guilty. Get him out of here. No, instead it's a bunch of people like me. To that point, what else I really like, guys? I like that I wasn't drone struck for selling weed because I feel like that'd be cruel and unusual. Like, why would you do that? And there's some other stuff that I think's good about America, too. Getting rid of slavery. That was probably a pretty good choice. I don't think people should be slaves. Everyone should be the same under the law, top to bottom. We don't want a king to be above the law. We didn't want Mr. Mad King telling us what to do. And, to that point, we probably shouldn't have our leaders be in power for all that long. Probably good that we have term limits. Because, shit, if we didn't have term limits, we could just have a king, and something that we're not going to have anymore because the elections are either going to be straight up canceled due to some sort of like martial law, or they will just legitimately be rigged at this point. You have the right to elect your leaders that represent you instead of just having somebody appointed like a mad king. So those are the things that I value. Those are the things that I believe in. I've done some dumb things in my life, guys, but I know the kind of person that I am, and I know what's important. Now, I think I would be remiss if I didn't tell you guys some bad things about myself, which I guess I kind of have. I remember when I was really young, me and my friend, we were probably 8, 10, me and a buddy of mine, we went to a park, and it was like a school park, I think. Like, it was somewhere that kids could go, because we weren't being supervised, I remember, because we did this thing where we, like, vandalized this booth. We went up into this commentator's booth, I guess it would have been, and there was, like, a wooden fence, lining the commentator's booth so that people couldn't fall, and, like, the rungs of the fence, we were, like, kicking them out, like, either with our hands or like with our feet or something. We were like breaking them, like kicking them out. And we got caught. So we had to fix that shit. I think the worst thing I've ever done is sell weed. I got in trouble for that. That's a whole story. We should probably just make weed legal. That would probably be a good solution to people's problems where it's like, you just can't get in that much trouble. Maybe like the punishments should be less in the first place. There's a whole bunch of solutions to these things. So used to be pretty angry. Had a couple things I did as a kid where I got into some trouble, but overall, not so much, man. I've got some flaws. I've got some perks. I'm not very smart. I have practically no skills. And this is what we got. I hope you guys got something out of this video. I'm not sure what I'm going to talk about next. Maybe, journalists getting arrested. That's probably not good. So we should probably talk about some other stuff like that soon. So I'll just make this like really fucking simple for you, okay? I believe that everybody should be able to do whatever the fuck they want, and that they should have a good standard of living, that they should have liberty, that they should have privacy, and that they are entitled to the pursuit of happiness through whatever means they like, within reason, of course. You know, that's why we have basic laws like don't murder people, don't steal things. But otherwise, yeah, do your thing, man. Be whoever you want, look however you want, worship whoever you want, love whoever you want, whatever you want. I don't fucking care. And you know, I'm gonna end on this, guys, on a more like serious note here. I shouldn't have had to make this channel in the fucking first place. If you guys are thinking like, man, why did this Warhammer YouTuber make this other channel where he just like talks about this sort of shit? Why does he gotta talk about politics? Why does he gotta talk about this? Why does he gotta talk about that? If that's what you're thinking, then my guy, my girl, you are not fucking paying attention. And I encourage you to keep watching what I have to say. You guys might not fuck with politics, but I promise you, politics will fuck with you. I sold some weed a while ago. I got in trouble. I was held accountable. Do I disagree with the punishment? Do I disagree that weed should be illegal? Sure. But I was found guilty and I was held accountable. It is time that we hold other people accountable. But who enforces the Constitution? We do. That's going to do it for this one, my friends. KevBot out. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.